So we're really excited to bring Mover Academy live. We've been doing the automotive industry and moving industry for about a decade now. And Dan and I just put our heads together and started thinking about how could we help more guys who are working in the industry break out on their own to start their own moving business.
Yeah, totally. This is our best kept secrets. Over the last decade, we've scaled companies to millions in revenue. And what we're gonna do here is basically take you from a complete novice. You'd never have had to start a business before. You don't need to know anything about doing business. We're gonna take you through all the steps to get yourself up and free, to be your own boss and to make your own $1 million salary. Basically, we'll start with first making a decision to be a mover, figuring out how much you should commit, how much time to really see if you like the industry, and then work you through getting a partner, figuring out your first truck, figuring out your first job, figuring out digital media, all the different things that you're gonna need to get your business started in the first month, 6 months, and year. And they'll be in bite-sized chunks you'll be able to digest and watch over and over again as you build your business.
And one of the first things that we really thought about with this aspect of starting a business is because it's such a hard journey, probably one of the first questions you need to ask yourself, which we'll get into in our first lesson, is do I want to go it alone, or would I like to find a business partner?
Yeah, it can be very lonely going solo. I think if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And so really it's understanding who you are as a person. Do you want to be the sole business owner doing all the responsibility of everything? It can be very lonely. It can be very painful when things are not going well. You don't have somebody to call to bounce ideas off of. It can also be detrimental though. So if you get a bad partner, it can be the undoing of the business.
So after figuring out, the commitment to start and whether or not you want to have a partner or go it alone, the next big thing is getting to work. And a really important thing in starting a business is momentum and getting started in working and making money. So our first lesson after the partnership is about just getting the ball rolling, where you have cash coming in the door for you in a variety of ways that are related to your business.
TaskRabbit, make some ads on Craigslist, get into the moving business, start moving boxes, start interacting with customers. Depending on what degree of skill you have, you might maybe pick up a gig at a local moving company for 6 months, just to kind of understand and build your process mentally, build out your kit, which we can talk about later. But get your feet wet in terms of transacting, moving. The best place to learn is on the job when somebody else is paying you, not on your own.
And so those are kind of the bare minimum to get you from 0 to 1 of getting some money going and getting some skills built and getting some equipment set up. Then after that, the next big step is you've got some gig jobs. Maybe you have a job working for someone else part-time. Now you need to hang your own shingle out there and get off those platforms, which are a good place to begin to gather reputation. But you need to set up your own place on the internet, first and foremost, a website, but all these other social media platforms that you need to have some kind of presence on.
Yeah, I think with like the modern tools that we have today, you can easily code up a website. We have like at localmovers.com, we've got classes that show you how to do that, and we can coach you on that. It's never been easier to make a website that looks professional, get that out. I think the earlier you start, the better. The key is to get onto Yelp, get onto Google.
You can probably do in about 10 minutes. Once you found an available domain and you want to put those like 5 to 10 pieces of text up on a web page, which is enough to let people contact you, that's a great start. So now you got your website up and you're ready to go. The next thing that we talked about is getting some customers to find you, not just on TaskRabbit and Craigslist.
Right away, once you get the business started, get in, go to your local chamber of commerce and be the moving guy. Meet with the realtors there. Try to network. That's a big place where you can just get leads coming in. You maybe have a buddy that's a realtor or somebody that you're working with. You become the go-to guy that's the mover in the community. You want to be that, whether you got a church or gym, you want to be known as the mover. Get some branded logo t-shirts. They don't cost anything these days. $20, you can get your own t-shirt and just rep your brand all the time where you're going and have people identify moving with you. And so relationally, you'll be able to build that. You also can use digital ads, Facebook, Google. Pretty easy to get set up and running.
Yep.
And get the inbound.
Totally. And I think it's really important to get creative because, for example, if you're going to do door knocking anyway to tell people, hey, I'm opening a moving business in this area, there's no reason you can't also talk to those people and say, hey, are you potentially in the market to sell your home? Have you thought about upgrading, or are you thinking about downsizing? You go around, you talk to 500 people, you go to a realtor with your notes and you say, hey, I walked door to door and knocked on these doors and I know these people might be interested. That's valuable information that shows that realtor, hey, you're a serious business guy and they want to stay in touch with you.
Totally.
So you come in with a gift in hand. Moving, it seems on the surface of it, primarily like a physical job. You're lifting things up, you're moving them around. But really, it is very much a sales job, especially when you are starting your own business. So you have to be ready and willing to talk to people.
I think you got that 100% right. It is a sales job. You're out there, you're selling yourself, you're selling your brand. And that means you need to be, have some sort of uniform when you arrive. Don't look sloppy, show up on time. You need to project in yourself and in your company greatness. What is a business that is already staffed, is already doing $1 million in revenue? What do they do? From the moment you step into a call, and they may be coming through inbound from a friend, they may be coming through Google. As soon as you pick up that phone, understanding all of the needs that they have around that move, and then promptly getting them a quote for what that is. So that's just being organized in the back end, understanding your cost structures. We have all these types of tools on localmovers.com to help you template and build out what those costs are, but being able to give them a very fair and clean price right from the beginning. And then as soon as you book that job, showing up on time, and just calling them, right before you arrive, letting them know the night before, hey, it's just a quick text. It's like very little easy touch points that you can do that are going to elevate the move. They're going to elevate your brand and elevate you as a person that they can trust, right? When they first meet you, they have no idea who you are. And so just text them the night before, hey, looking forward to the move. Be there at 7:30. You're coming in at 6:45, text them, hey, we're on our way, 30 minutes out. We'll be there shortly. That just gives a person who's already stressed out. They've got all their whole life is in boxes right now. They're about to move across the country. Just putting them at ease, I think, is just a really critical thing to build trust with your customers. And that's what's going to translate to that 5-star review on Yelp or Google or localmovers.com, where other people are going to see that and see that experience and see those, 35 stars that you've got out of the first month and say, okay, I'm going to go with this brand. I'm going to go with these folks that seem like they know what they're doing.
Totally. And a couple of things you mentioned there, I just want to highlight. When you're doing those door knocking, it's a great chance to take business cards and bring them door to door. We at localmovers.com will help you print free business cards for you if you're just getting started, to get out and hand to people so that they have your phone number in hand in case they need it. They'll throw it in a drawer and they won't remember it, and then they'll remember when they need it. The other thing which Dan touched on is the importance of using these AI tools to save time and do things that you don't know how to do. I cannot tell you guys how much stuff we have figured out how to do that we didn't know anything about just by talking to these tools and asking them to tell us and help us to do stuff. So a cornerstone of this course will be how to use AI in each one of these specific situations in each one of these lessons. So that about almost rounds it out for the first half of the course. The last thing that I want to talk about is, okay, so you've got some customers coming in, you're making some money, you're doing some work. Now you want to get a little more legitimate, maybe open a business bank account, maybe create a legal entity to protect yourself legally, deal with getting some insurance and registering with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, FMCSA, so you can get that DOT number and that MC number, which will unlock you for those big money jobs, which are the interstate moves.
And it's really important, I think, get all of these legal pieces in your house in order, and you can do that slowly as you transition. But it's really important to get those. Make sure you've got the insurance. That's going to get you to the next tier of move, right? When you go and you want to move these multi-million-dollar homes, because there's going to be in the local space, that's probably the best, and the commercial space, they're going to want a certificate of insurance. You're going to have that right out the gate. And so making sure you get set up with a LLC or whatever structure you want to do with that. You want to get that going. You don't want to start it too soon. I think at the beginning, it's just let's make some money. Let's make sure this moving things for yourself. And I think that's going back to this zero foundation. Are you in it? Figuring out, okay, I'm going to do this for 6 months. I'm going to commit. I'm going to lock in. We're just going to do moves for 6 months and see. And then this is what I want to do. I think I can scale this business. I think I can make this into a multi-million-dollar business. Then and you haven't wasted a bunch of capital and set up a bunch of stuff. You really feel like you've got what it takes. But then you've got to get to this place where you've got all your ducks in a row so that when you do multi-million-dollar moves, you're not getting stuck with a bill for somebody's Maserati, or you dropped some piece of china that's turns out is $40,000. You want to be insured for that. You want to make sure that all that's covered. You've got the right kit. You're rolling out the runners into this $50 million home. You want to be the guy to go to that, because these people have money, they want to pay, and they want expertise. They want excellence when you roll in, and so you need to really perfect your game, and that's something that you'll be able to do in the first few months as you think about, how do we just become the most premium brand for moving and execute on a level that sets us apart from the rest.
Cool. Well, that about wraps it up for the first half of the course. We'll get into more in the second half later. But the key point here is the 7 steps, which we can recap for you now. Deciding to be a mover, right? Getting to your first 1K fast, not getting injured, building out your kit, going off platform onto your own website, forming your business entity, building out your funnel. I think I got all those. I think that's it.
Yep.
Thanks for tuning in. I'm Brett.
I'm Dan.
And let's get moving.